Welcome to Black History Month. We know Black history means a lot to a lot of people, especially Black and Brown people. And here at Purdue, we take that very seriously. But this year, we wanted to switch it up and do things a little bit differently and bring in our counterparts and see what they think about Black History Month and the things that have went on in the past, and then how we can move forward in the future. So today we have with us Jan Metzinger. She is head of HR. She's director of HR. We also have Amanda Lucas. She is a diehard Purdue fan. Born and raised here.
Yeah.
Went to school here.
Yeah.
And she is also runs a fitness gym here in West Lafayette. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and having this conversation with us. You ready to get started?
Yes.
All right. So my first question to you guys would be, what does Black history mean to you?
I'm going first.
We'll go with Amanda
okay.
first.
Okay. Black history, I guess, to me means we aren't doing a great job in regular history if we still have to designate a month to cover Black history. So on one hand, it's a little bit optimistic that we realized its importance. And then on the other hand, I feel slightly disappointed that we had to pick one of 12 months, being the shortest month, February, to really engage in Black history because we've done such a poor job including it in regular history lessons.
Yeah, I agree with that. What about you, Jen?
I guess I viewed it a little differently. I view it as an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of Black Americans, and I look at it as a time for those of us who are not as well educated to learn and get involved in activities throughout the month to get an appreciation for the diversity that we have not been exposed to possibly, or the customs or the traditions, and just a time for us to kind of recognize and celebrate the things that we are unaware of.
I like that too. Celebrate. So you guys both work in two different types of fields. So you're in HR, so you see the ins and outs, people of coming and going. You work at a good gym. I recommend that gym. You work at a good gym, so you see members coming in and out. Why do you think that representation matters in the HR department, whether it be in the media, in sports, or any specific area or any type of area? Why do you think diversity matters?
I think diversity matters because I think there are a lot of times where different cultural backgrounds have stereotypes, and people are expected to be successful in certain areas. For example, Black Americans, they seem to be good athletes, but I think it's important to recognize them in other areas of professionals. Like they can be leaders, they can be just a variety of different things, and I think we need to step out of the recognition of stereotypes and recognize that they're in every facet of the business world and the population as much as white people are.
Yes, I agree. What about your profession?
I guess I think representation is important so broadly. I can't even contain it to the gym. I just think about how growing up, I saw people that looked like me everywhere I went. I felt comfortable walking into any room. If I had a problem, I didn't feel uncomfortable going to somebody around me for help, whether that was school or professionally. I've never been in a position where I had a hard time finding somebody that looked like me to go to for whatever, support, problems, what have you. I think that we take for granted having somebody that looks like us and can understand us. And so it is one of my goals for not just professionally. I think that we need leaders in our schools and our teams and our clubs that represent all kinds of people, because as, say, a woman, I'm probably not going to go to a group of men if I have an issue because they don't necessarily make me feel comfortable or understand where I'm coming from. And I think that goes for also people that aren't white, that it's a whole lot easier to feel comfortable going to somebody that can understand your perspective in every situation. So I think it starts outside of all of our jobs, really.
I agree. I can remember, like, even growing up, when I came up through elementary school, it was really mixed. High school I went to a predominantly black high school. But even after that, it was like I was just this one person in a large world. Even now, here in Lafayette, you go to Purdue, you're in class of 1950, which is a pretty
Huge
large
building,
lecture
yeah.
hall, and nutrition 303. I was in that class. And I remember looking around and being like, "There's two of us in here," and that's a lecture hall. I think of like 200, if not more. I'm like, "There's two."
And that wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I will say my sons, oftentimes in a class, if a subject comes up about race, because they're the only non-white kid in their class, all the eyes in the entire class turn to them. And that doesn't feel great. I mean, it doesn't, all eyes turn to you to see how you're going to react. Mm-hmm. And when you don't have an outlet in any form to go to somebody that understands that feeling, I just think it minimizes your ability to be you.
Yes, I agree. I remember my sister telling us that she went to another university here in Indiana, and she was in a class. She was the only black person. And the professor literally turned to her and was like, "So, what do you think about that?"
Right.
Like, what do black people think about that? As if she had, like...
I speak for all black people.
Yeah, I'm spokesperson of all black people on across her head. And I remember her saying that, and I was like, that's great, because that was before I was in college. And then I got to college, I was like...
Now you know what she's talking about.
I get it. I completely get it. So, yeah, there's lack of diversity, but we can always do better.
Yes.
Right. So you work in HR, right, Jen? So you see people that come in, you see people that go out. Do you think the lack of diversity in your area is an issue?
Absolutely. I think that's something we've been striving for, especially over the last couple of years, to focus on ways to attract and retain minorities, because I think there's a couple things at play, in my opinion. I think we don't do a good job of necessarily advertising in the right areas, so we're trying to focus on trying to target the type of areas that, or places that would attract or those, the minorities look to for opportunities. But secondly, I think we need to change the community a little bit. I think our community is part of the problem. And I think it's something we have to continue to work hard at, but we have to provide areas in the community that they feel comfortable, that there are areas that they feel comfortable grocery shopping, getting their hair done, just all the aspects of just a normal day-to-day routine that I would do. I think we need to make sure that's available for not only other blacks, but all types of diverse individuals in the community. And one of the things that I hear repeatedly as people do leave the university is that I didn't really see an avenue for me to further my career. I don't see people like me at the higher levels, not just in athletics, but across the campus. And that's a problem. So we need to build avenues for all kinds of minorities to see what they could do in the future and what types of opportunities are available.
Yeah.
It's very much on the forefront. Especially when I hear it like we can attract them, but continuing to retain them is part of the problem.
Yeah. You said something, about seeing those people in higher levels. There's a lack of diversity. That's why people don't see that. So do you think that the black history is directly correlated to why you don't see people in that higher level?
I think subconsciously, yes. I think if you were to ask those making the decisions at the higher level, they would say absolutely not. We're just looking for the most qualified individual that has the most experience. But I can't help but think that there is some, subtle things that impact those decisions that are being made. But I think we're starting to turn the corner, I hope. I think we're recognizing that there is a need to be open-minded and more inclusive and valuing the differences that come with a diverse leadership. And so I'm hoping that as we move, further down the road, we are going to find more avenues to get people into those higher level leadership positions. And just creating kind of career ladders, career paths that, mentor diverse individuals, whether it's males or females versus, just Black and Asian and things of that nature.
Yeah, there's everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. So you, Amanda, kind of the same question. You hire, right?
Yes.
And fire. Hopefully not.
Yeah, I try not
But
to.
you do it all at the
Yeah.
gym. So you've seen those higher levels, right? So you've gone beyond outside of the gym, right? So you've seen the higher levels in the fitness world. So do you think that Black history, it's kind of the same question, is directly correlated with the lack of diversity in those higher areas?
So I think that in general, I would say that Indiana is a little different than some places. I don't think that we're necessarily a welcoming hotbed for diverse people to want to build a career, whether it be in fitness or what have you. I think that Purdue has come a long way. I do think the bigger community has some deficits. I think that as long as we have Confederate flags flying in front of people's houses and on the back of their trucks in school parking lots or on their face masks at Payless, I think that I cannot imagine walking in here from somewhere else and saying, well, yeah, this looks like where I want to put down roots and grow a family that doesn't look like me. So, yes, I know in my specific area, I have a hard time attracting people that want to stay for more than just a few months of their college career. I think there's lots of amazing fitness people out there. I love Sean T, and he's like one of the most inspiring African Americans for lots of reasons. On top of he is a huge spokesman for the LGBTQ community as well. And he did his thing, and I follow him, and he still battles race, and his comments on his feeds, he battles two battles. He also gets hate for having a husband and having kids, but he has built a huge company and a successful story and still is fighting the bigots. So I can't just blame it on our small-minded atmosphere because it obviously permeates everywhere still. So
Yeah, I agree. Like, I even personally thought, can I stay here? I don't know, I went to school here, but you always think, like, can I? Because I came from, big city. It wasn't until I got here where I was more of the minority, like a bigger minority. But yeah, you have things happen to you here, especially for me specifically. And I'm like, when I'm looking for a job, do I want to apply outside of Indiana? So I can completely understand someone looking at this place and being like, I don't know. But it's just one thing we can do better. So
Right.
How do you guys think, or you ladies think, that we can kind of move the needle forward when it comes to looking at where we've come from and going forward to where we're trying to go, which is more diversity, more people included in things, more jobs, more all this like this. How can we move the needle forward?
I will say, I think at some point we have to stop listening to the people that are pushing against it. Like, we're not going to make everybody happy, and we cannot all. Progress is slow, which I understand, but it's been 200 plus years. I wouldn't be patient to wait. I'm not patient. I do not want to wait another year for things to be better for my kids. I don't want it to be their kids that see a little glimmer of change. I think that at some point we tell these people that are pushing against the ideas that it's just too bad that we're not, we have to just start talking about things that make people uncomfortable. We have to, I don't know, it's very frustrating to fight and fight and fight to get books in schools with people that don't look like me as the main character or the author, or we need books that aren't written about history by white people from a white lens. And until we just decide that it is too bad that some people don't want to change, we're going to have a hard time. And I do think that when you're, it's, again, we're in the center of the United States, the Midwest. It is landlocked. We don't have a lot of people that are as passionate maybe as some of us. But those of us that have the platforms are going to have to start using them and getting uncomfortable. And that has been something that I've, I guess, really learned in my 20s. And then something happened in my 30s where I just stopped worrying about who that pushes out. I have to use my ability to use my voice to make things better for people that aren't able to do it. So
Step up.
Yeah, step up.
I like that. I guess to kind of go along with that, I think in this day and age, so much of what we hear and do is through social media. And to go along exactly with what she's saying is that we need to use the tools that, sometimes we look at, our phones too much and we rely on social media too much, but I think we need to turn it and use it in a positive manner to move the needle, to make the changes, to get people more comfortable with the uncomfortable situations and talk through why are you uncomfortable? Like, there shouldn't be a reason. We're all humans. We all have different gifts that we bring, different talents, different treasures, and we should be looking to value those in people instead of using social media and just our levels in society to bring people down. So we need to really take social media in a positive manner. I do get concerned that tends to work in the opposite direction.
More negative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I do think that's one avenue we could really capitalize on if we just get enough people behind the movement.
Social media is powerful.
Very.
So what do you think is the most profound moment from African American history in the U.S. and why?
So I thought about this question a lot, which is why I really wanted you to ask this, because I wanted to say things like, I love John Lewis, and I wanted to say when they walked across the bridge in Selma, or something, devastating like Martin Luther King being murdered or Malcolm X. But at the end of the day, I think the most profound moment is in 1619 when white people decided to steal African people and bring them to a country and build an entire country on slavery. And nothing is more profound in the history of white supremacy than that moment.
Wow.
That's it.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah. Well, because you want to think it's something positive. You want it, but at the end of the day, it's not. It is the fact that we built this country on stealing human beings and using them as slaves. And had that not happened, this would not be what we were sitting here discussing today. So That was,
Coming with the facts. She got the year and everything.
yeah.
She did. Gosh, I don't know
That
how
was
you
powerful
followed
right
that.
there. All right. Okay, what about you?
Do I really have to follow that? I guess I kind of looked at the different things over the course of the history and to really think about, in my opinion. And I really have to say, when Barack Obama became president, because I think it proved that the leadership can be done by a multitude of people. It doesn't have to always be a white male to lead the country. It proved that there is, the fact that the population, black and white, voted for him and stood behind him and felt that he had what it took to lead the country should, if nothing else, give the Black Americans hope that we are rising above the blanket that we have lived under for such a long time, and just giving them the sense that, there are so many great things that can happen if we just
Work together.
Exactly.
I know many people cried when they made it official. It's like, oh my gosh, I never thought we would have one in my lifetime. I'm like, we're never going to get a black president.
As a mom of little girls, when Meghan Markle became the princess, I'll never forget. These are two little girls who I would have never thought in a million years recognized it, sat on my bed crying, and they're like, we can be princesses. I was like, well, of course you can. Why didn't you know that? Well, they didn't know it because they've never seen a princess that looked like them. Those moments are huge, even if it's just for young people to see.
Absolutely.
It is watching little kids stand in front of the TV and see people that look like them in a position they had no idea was attainable is huge. I agree.
Yes. Yeah. That was good. Oh, that's all good. Good.
It was great.
Thank you guys for doing this.
Thank you
I
for having
appreciate
us.
it.
Thank you.
You guys have any last thoughts or anything?
No.
No? Good to go.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.